What's up, men's physique fans, and welcome back to another video. It has been far too long since we have spoken these words, but I have just gotten back from India, where I stepped on stage and competed at the Sheru Classic, and during that time, we've also had 3 additional shows that took place that weekend. So I am now catching up on all of the craziness within men's physique, but not only that, guys, there's a show going on as we speak, and the winner is about to be crowned, and we're going to be the first to cover it and bring it to you guys. So as always, we appreciate, we love you guys. Sit back, relax, because we got a lot of things to catch up on in the men's physique division. Let's go.
But I ain't hearing nothing great. No, they want to take it off from me, so I give what it takes. Whole life been a miracle, seen everything but a cape. Why would I stop now? Found everything on a journey, but another way. Look, I'm not.
Now, if you have watched the Men's Physique Radio podcast, which I highly recommend you going to do if you haven't already, we broke down each and every show in detail. So I'm not going to do that now, but I do want to make sure that I give credit to our new 4 qualified Olympians, starting off with my good friend Drew Cullen, who won the Toronto Pro in dominating fashion. So Drew has been chomping at the bits for the past 3 shows, not only placing 3rd at Optimum, but then falling back and placing 6th at the Miami Muscle Beach Pro. But the best thing about Drew's story is the fact that he just never gave up. He consistently got better and better with the packages, even if the placings necessarily didn't get better, and just doubled down on the work that he knew that needed to be done. Drew is a previous Olympian. So because of that, he understands that what it takes in order to get back to that big stage. Drew stepped on stage 7 times in 2023 in order to qualify for the Olympia. And now it took 3 times. And now he is a 2-time Olympia qualified athlete. I'm really excited to see what Drew does. He has a lot of time before the Olympia to improve on what we already know Drew needs to improve on, which is simply bringing that back up. And if he does that, I'm telling you guys right now, there's not many people who can stand with his structure as well as his conditioning. So I'm really excited to see Drew step on stage at the Olympia in 2024. And again, congratulations, brother. And after missing the Olympia in 2023, we have your newest DC Pro champion and 2024 Olympia qualified athlete, and now multi-time Olympian, Stephen Cow, going back to the big stage. Now, the package that Stephen Cow brought to the DC Pro was lights out. Stephen is somebody with a very, very wide frame. When I mean frame, I mean his structure from left to right and shoulder to shoulder is massive. He has one of the most impressive sweeping lats that I've seen in the industry in a very, very long time. Now, with that, a lot of times when guys are very wide up top, you'll almost expose yourself when it comes to the chest department. And that's the one thing that Stephen has had an issue with in the past. But even here at this show, it looks like that he just found his peak. He brought a certain level of conditioning that he hasn't been known for bringing the previous shows. But when he does, that's when he typically wins. And he did just that. And not to mention, Stephen has one of the most dominating backs in the men's physique division. So that's one thing that you can almost guarantee at every single show that he will have. And it's safe to say he separated himself through the back and even the front and really just cleaned house when it came to stepping on stage at the DC Pro. Again, Stephen Cow, he's a veteran. He is somebody who's been on big stages before, and it's safe to say that he is not going to be a newbie when stepping on stage here in Vegas, and just simply due to the experience that he has and the more consistencies that we've seen with after multiple shows with him, I think it's safe to say that he is going to be a front runner for that top 15 space when it comes to this year's Olympia. So again, congratulations, Stephen Cow, for one hell of a physique. I'm excited to stand on stage with him when it comes to the Olympia. And this next athlete, I am so excited to finally speak these words. I have witnessed this man step on stage multiple times over the last couple of years and just fall short of that Olympia qualification. But in Mile High, at the Mile High Pro, we have your new 2024 Olympian in Ryan Clark. Now, Ryan Clark stepped on stage earlier this year with me at Optimum, where he placed 3rd. And it's safe to say his package from then to now has significantly improved. Ryan Clark has always been somebody who has an overarching balance to his physique, whether it's from the back, the front, posing, the overall conditioning. He's not necessarily missing anything. So that's why at almost every single show he does, he's not only just in the top 3 or first call outs, but he's in that conversation to qualify for the Olympia. So when I say I'm excited to say these words, it's very simple. It's because I've witnessed a man who dedicated a lot of time and effort and energy and passion and just drive to getting to the big stage. So now when it's finally happening, I think this sport, especially this division, it's a massive win for. For those of you who are unaware, India has not had a representative to step on stage at the Olympia in a very long time. Now, the men's physique division has been truly handled and represented very well by Bhuwan Chauhan. He has been somebody who is a multi-time Olympian, but has never truly left a mark at the Olympia, which ultimately did not give a massive reputation for Indian bodybuilders when it comes to stepping on stage or simply getting to the big stage. Now, for countries like Brazil, right, there's been a rapid takeover over the last couple of years from some of their top athletes coming over and just absolutely making a name for themselves, right? In our own division, we have Vitor Chavez, Carlos de la Vera. Once he makes that official decision to go to Classic, that won't be anymore, but yet and still, we have Vinicius Mateus, we have Edvon Palmero, we have a lot of these guys who are in the top conversation at not only every single show, but at the biggest shows, as in the Olympia. But India, they're just happy to get there. Now, when it comes to your next 2024 Olympian and Indian prodigy, it's safe to say this guy's potential is to be at the top level one day in the men's physique division. Now, Amit Agrahari, hands down, is the young up-and-coming star of India. And he is somebody who truly can, in years to come, be at the Olympia stage in those top conversations. Now, why do I say this? Simply because I had an opportunity to compete with him. I had an opportunity to lose to him. And I'm gonna tell you guys this. Even though I truly believe that decision could have went any way, he is somebody who is going to be very underrated going into this Olympia. Now, do I have high expectations for him specifically at this year's Olympia? No. But I will believe that seeing the progress that he's made over the last handful of months just to earn his pro card and then step on stage the same day in the Sheru Classic to then win the pro show, I know for a fact that if he continues to bring up some of his weaknesses, that he will be a force. He is definitely going to be someone to keep an eye out for. The best thing about Amit's physique is he is somebody who is always coming in as conditioned as possible and to the gills. He's a very hard and overall dense individual. Even though he doesn't have the most muscle, he actually maximizes his muscle based off of condition and his fullness. So he will not be the biggest guy on stage. He will not have the best structure on stage. He won't have the best back on stage, right? He definitely needs to still clean up his posing, but there's a lot of things that he can do and will do in order to be in those conversations at the Olympia. And I'm gonna tell you guys this right now. He's gonna be a dark horse. I'm just saying. Again, congratulations to all of your newest 2024 qualified Olympians, because I can tell you this much, man, the Olympia is now having 52 qualified athletes. 52. And there's only a few more shows left in the States. We'll get into that. But I'm telling you guys right now, get ready, because the gauntlet is heating up. In 2022, there was an overwhelming amount of athletes who stepped across the Olympia stage just in the men's physique division alone. We had a total of 68 competitors walk across the stage, but a total of 72 who were actually qualified. So let's take a look at the current list and see how many shows that we have left, but more importantly, let's focus on how many shows that we have left in the States. So if you take a look, you're gonna notice there is still a good amount of shows left to qualify, but the majority of them are out of country. Now, can those who are from the United States travel to these countries? Absolutely. But it doesn't change the fact that the majority will always try to focus on qualifying in the state. So when you peel that layer back, you're going to notice there are only 10 total shows left to qualify before the deadline. And for those of you who are unaware of when the Olympia deadline is, it is 4 weeks before the Olympia, which is going to be, from my understanding, just before Legion Sports Fest. I believe it's the San Antonio Pro Show weekend. That's the last show you can potentially qualify to step on stage in 2024. Anything after that is stepping on stage in 2025's Olympia. So when you think about that number specifically, 10, you can almost think of 10 athletes who have been at the Olympia stage and have been at the top of the Olympia stage who still haven't stepped on stage yet. So let's just throw a few names out there. Andre Ferguson. He's already committed to doing the Texas Pro. We have Sadiq Hadzovic, who's likely either doing the Tampa Pro or is doing the Chicago Pro. We have Jeremiah Maxey, who's also going to be doing the Texas Pro. We have Deke Walker, who has had the most insane look this season amongst so many others stepping on stage in St. Pete. We have Charjo Grant, who has not stepped on stage yet and has been a top 4 Olympian prior. And again, guys, there's so many new names. Ricardo Sinet, who has had a lot of hype. We have Brandon Cantaloupes, who just shut his season down. But again, I still try to convince him to keep stepping on stage, right? We have a lot of people who are still running the gauntlet currently in order to snag these top 10 placings. And I am a firm believer that the names that we just listed, it will not be easy for them, especially with the young up-and-comers, and also just in any given Sunday type sport, there's going to be some top guys who simply don't qualify for the Olympia. And I was in that boat last year, so I know that feeling, and I know how it feels, where it feels like the walls are kind of closing in on you. So it's safe to say the season's really about to start picking up, and there's a lot of good guys who I haven't even named yet who are still in prep and getting ready to push for the final end of the year shows in order to qualify for this year. The Empro Classic in Alicante, Spain just wrapped up, and I want to quickly break down the top 4, but also highlight another athlete who stepped across that stage who we've been talking about a lot in the 2024 season. But before we get there, we have to talk about the top 4, starting off with Lenny Mossoff, because guys, I have been a massive fan of Lenny's physique. He is somebody with a very small waist. He is somebody with overarching bubbliness to his physique, which I've always been jealous about. And again, he's very balanced from front to back. Now, I do believe if Lenny can just fix his posing up a little bit more, and overall add some more general comfort to his front shot, that's going to create so much more flow to his overall physique. But when it comes to his shoulders, his chest, his midsection, and the overall waist to shoulder ratio, he's really not missing anything. Lenny's not the tallest guy on stage, so when he is standing next to people like the winner of this show, he will get exposed. But again, he has a property of his physique that will simply expose so many people, and half that time it's just balance. He is not the most conditioned guy in the show. He is not the biggest guy in the show. He is just a balanced individual who does have a wow factor, but it's almost like you can't identify like one specific wow factor. His wow factor is his balance. So I'm really excited to see him continue to battle it out this season. He is somebody who is living overseas, so there's a good chance that we'll see him in a lot of the additional overseas shows coming up here in the year. And next, we have to talk about Fabian Fever, because guys, this is now Fabian's 3rd show of the season, and at every single one of these shows, he has stepped in front of the man himself, Tyler Mania, the guy who makes all of the decisions for the standard of each division. And I think it's safe to say that they believe Fabian is well within that standard and very close to the top of that standard. Let me repeat myself. He stepped on stage at the New York Pro, the Miami Muscle Beach Pro, which has been deemed the most competitive lineup of the year, and then the most stacked lineup in terms of not only numbers of people, but the quality. There's Olympians in the second callouts at this show. There's people who have almost won pro shows, placing top 2nd and 3rd, who have now been in the 2nd and 3rd callouts at these shows. It is safe to say that he has stepped on stage at all of the biggest shows, being judged by the biggest judge in the world, and has now been in that top conversation for every single one of those shows. The main thing that Fabian brings to these shows is a certain level of conditioning that is very hard to match. He has a great structure, and for a smaller guy, having that structure is really, really hard to have when it's compared next to guys who are standing 5'10 plus and above. But yet and still, he makes it look clean and smooth. Again, not somebody with the smallest waist in the world, but with a wide enough clavicle to still have good flow to the physique. And then when you face the back, he is wide enough to stand on stage with almost anybody, but he doesn't have a lot of density through the back, which I do believe if he can qualify early and shut it down and focus on prioritizing that, who knows? Tyler Mania might just put him just that much higher at the Olympia as well. So again, massive fan of Fabian. I've been really paying close attention to him this season, and I guarantee you guys he will be in another top conversation battling it out for that Olympia qualification this year. And coming in at 2nd place, we have Matheus Nearly. And guys, I'll be 100% honest. Coming into the show, I was not too familiar with who he is. And honestly, after the show, I'm not exactly sure how. His physique is the definition of men's physique. He is somebody with a small waist, wide shoulders. He is somebody who brings great conditioning, but not only that, the back. I'm telling you, the 2024 season has truly been emphasized and separated by those who have good backs on stage. And I will tell you guys this, Matheus Nearly has that. Now, when you compare him to the 1st place finisher, it's safe to say that he was even giving him a run for his money in the back department, whereas the 1st place finisher was always known for just absolutely dominating people from the back. Now, the one thing about Matheus compared to the 1st place finisher was his waist compared to his shoulders and overall presentation. I think his posing was better than 1st place, and I really do believe that this decision was simply apples and oranges. Now, do I think the judges got it right? I do, because Sidney Poitier, our first place finisher, looked absolutely lights out. But not just that. We have seen drastic improvements from Sidney's physique because he is somebody who is known for competing at a lot of top shows. Just last year, competing at the New York Pro, Pittsburgh Pro. But more importantly, you'll see the consistent progression from each show. And the main progression that I've seen from Sid just from this year compared to previous years has been in the posing department. Sid has always had just one of the most freakiest physiques on stage. Very small waist, wide shoulders, very solid conditioning. But the one thing about him was simply his posing and his presentation never truly allowed his physiques to flow in a way that we clearly saw that it could, but just necessarily didn't. But he completely changed that, especially at this show here in Alicante, Spain. The back was always lights out. The density throughout the back, the detail throughout his back was something that always allowed him to be in the top conversations, even when going against these top guys. But when it came to the presentation, that's something that always pulled him back, and that changed this show. He was full, he was conditioned, he was balanced, and he had a great presentation. It was the full package, which is why he won this show. But like I said, it was not an easy win. When you look at these physiques, this is a truly up in the air type of decision between the judges. But Tyler Mannion on this day did choose Sid, and for good reason. I think the overall detail, the separation was what separated him between first and second place. And again, the back was just lights out and allowed him to snag that Olympia qualification. I'm a massive fan of Sid's physique, and anybody who was one of those taller guys who was watching this video, you guys better be a fan of this show, because our top two finishers were definitely on the taller end, and also just really showed that this battle was simply amplified by structure and height. And again, they maximized their structure when it came to the smaller individuals who fell behind in those second or third, fourth, and fifth place spots. So again, one hell of a show, one of the most stacked lineups of the year. It was definitely the biggest lineup of the year, and we have a lot of good, solid Olympians who qualified over these last couple of weeks, and it's going to make the Olympia just that much more exciting. Now, another guy we have to talk about is somebody who we've been speaking about not only a lot on this channel, but simply throughout the 2024 season with the hype through social media, and as well as the anticipation for him to step on stage. Now, when it comes to Dan Ibrahim, there's no question there's been a lot of people either on one end of the spectrum or another end of the spectrum. One end simply saying that he looks phenomenal and he is going to make it to the Olympia, and the far other end is simply saying he does not look men's physique and he needs to move the classic physique because his physique is not fitting of what this division standard is looking for. So we were finally going to get our answer this week when he stepped on stage in front of Tyler Mannion, and it's safe to say we got that answer. Now, with Dan placing in the third callouts, even though he brought a much improved package, a downsized look, and a more streamlined look towards men's physique, this is exactly what the judges said to Dan backstage.
After the show, men's physique, breaking news, Ross, you talked to Tyler, we did, and the feedback is?
Move the classic.
You're on board for that?
Yeah, I'm on board. Tyler Mannion. Who am I going to go? Nah,
so you heard it here first. You're going into classic this year, or you what?
Let me update you a little bit.
But it's official. You're moving to classic.
Now, with this being Dan's first year taking any kind of PEDs, it is safe to say that his physique is a hyper responder. And the growth that he has made from turning pro to now, it's very clear that his physique wants to continue to grow. So when the judges gave him feedback earlier this year at Tri-City to almost streamline his physique, it's almost like asking Dan to go into the gym and not train as hard and to not grow. When we as competitors and athletes, we want to grow, we want to get better, we want to take that next step. And as bodybuilders, we go into the gym with the purpose to focus on adding to, right? Not subtracting. And when it comes to streamlining, that's just another word of pulling back. So with that, I'm really excited for Dan to make this decision because I firmly believe that he is going to be successful once he takes the time to continue to pack on the size in the lower body in order to match his upper body. Because Dan has a freaky look. Like, he is going to be very, very hard to beat in the classic physique division. He already has one of the best physiques or overall best backs in classic. He already has the size upper body wise to compete with a lot of these guys, right? But again, more time for the lower body is going to truly allow him just to take off. And it's only a matter of time before we have another conversation about Dan. Just instead of board shorts, he has those, smaller shorts. So with that being said, Dan, we wish you nothing but the best, brother. And I think you're making the best decision for your career. And again, thank you for the hype and the excitement that you brought to the men's physique division. A couple days ago, I'm scrolling on Instagram and I come across a Hart Mcgrath story post. And guys, I'll be honest, this is a bittersweet moment for me. It's bitter simply because Hart Mcgrath is a reason why I'm even making this content in the first place. He is showing me that there is a voice that can be heard and people want to hear about a division that a lot of times is oftentimes overlooked and undervalued. And to give a unique perspective about that, there's opportunity there. It's sweet because I care about him. And I truly believe that he hasn't been an optimal version of himself. So him making this decision in hopes to find a happy place or a homeostasis for himself is something that I do find that I'm happy for him about. But it doesn't change the fact that this retirement post from Hart Mcgrath, it sucks for the division. So again, I'm scrolling on Instagram, I come across this post, and to sum it up, it's simply saying that due to a lot of the things going on to his life and the reality of his situation of his not having that passion on what he is covering anymore, that he is selling his YouTube channel. And one, I stopped for a second. Hart has done this in the past, and then he has come back with a vengeance, creating an amazing channel, building it to over 100K plus subscribers and adding so much value to this division. So I didn't want to overthink it and put too much emphasis on it. But as a friend, I wanted to reach out to him, check in on him, see what's going on and making sure that his mind, his mental is in a good place. And it was then that I realized that he is serious about this and he doesn't have plans on coming back, and he doesn't have plans on pursuing anything to do with the men's physique division anymore, and is simply wanting to rekindle relationships that have been lost. He wants to make sure that he is also building a stronger, better version from himself from a current loss. And he wants to just simply pursue maybe a somewhat traditional approach. I still didn't believe it. But I will say this, man. Hart Mcgrath, he's a great guy. And I think everybody in this division owes him a thank you. Whether you watched his content, whether you're a fan of his content, if you like the men's physique division, Hart Mcgrath did so much for it and for us. So Hart Mcgrath stepping away from creating men's physique content is not a win for anybody who is in this sport and specifically in this division, because he gave a platform for people who oftentimes didn't get covered because of the specific division or simply having board shorts on. And as a friend and as a fan, I really hope that Hart Mcgrath finds that piece that he is looking for. And if you're watching this, brother, I want you to know, if you ever need anything, I will be here for you. If you ever want to create men's physique content again, you hit me up and we're going to find a place for you on this channel. I love you, brother. I appreciate you. I would not be here if it weren't for you. And again, Godspeed, my man. Godspeed. This past weekend, we launched the very first drop of the Manifest competition wear brand. And guys, I need to take a quick second to simply thank you for the love and support. I am so overwhelmed with not only seeing the board shorts on stage now, but simply just seeing the outpour from the community of people who supported with the first launch. Guys, it's hard for me to put into words seeing my passion, being displayed now, not only just in the United States, but generally across the whole world. And I want to make sure that I emphasize this, man. I am doing everything I can to enhance and bring up the men's physique division. I love this division. I wouldn't be who I am and where I am if it weren't for this division. So this investment back into the division is just simply a passion that I honestly am just at a loss for words at. And this first launch meant so much to me. This is the origin launch. So if you guys are still out there looking for board shorts, it would mean the world. I'm telling you guys right now, the material is unmatched. It is stretched, it's form-fitting, and also it's unique in terms of custom sizing. So it's not just 15 or 17 inches, right? I'll put the sizing chart up here, guys, but it will fit. And the cool thing about this is if, for example, you're a size, 26-inch waist, you get a 27, it will fit. And even if you're not stepping on stage until the end of this season or even next season, guys, I'm telling you right now, invest in that future now, because these board shorts will absolutely change the game, and we will not be restocking. I'm telling you guys right now, we are going to be moving on to additional launches. So if you like what you see from the first Origin launch, make sure you support. And again, tag me in your purchase order so I can personally thank you. And as always, guys, I love you. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for the support on the Manifest competition wear and supporting the men's physique division. Now that we are back from India, my travel is starting to slow down. I am now taking on new clients. So if you or somebody you know are looking to step on stage for the very first time, get naturally qualified or earn your IFBB Pro card, or even shut it down and focus on growing towards the 2025 season to be undeniable, I am now taking on additional clients. All you have to do is click the link below, and I can promise you guys this will not be an easy process. I will push you, but the one thing that I can also guarantee, you're gonna get a coach who cares, a coach who is great with communication and simply wants to maximize your potential. Again, I can promise you this won't be easy, but it's gonna be worth it. So as always, guys, I appreciate you, I love you, and until the next video, peace.